Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to a casual convo. And today we have Heather. I don't know you very well, Heather, so I'm glad that you are on my
We never
channel.
speak to each other.
Let's just see if there's anybody. We have
Yeah, Sarah.
Dawn.
Hi, Sarah. Hi.
And Sarah. Hello. Fancy seeing you here. Thank you for being here. So this is just, a series that kind of randomly developed where I just like talking to people in the community. So, oh, hi Zane, Tarot Token Witchery. Hi April. So hi Rachel. So yeah, once again, if anybody would like to come on and chat, you certainly may, and you don't have to have a Tarot Tube channel. You don't, you don't, because I mean, there are plenty of people in the community we see in comments and such. I mean, would love to meet you. We would love to meet you too. So, but in any case, today we are all about Heather. If you have a question, of course, please leave a comment in all caps. That's probably the best way my old eyes can see them. And hopefully I will be able to catch everything. And if not, I'm sure that Sarah, one of my virtual bouncers, will be able to help me out. Hi, Lisa. Hi, I am Reve. I hope I'm saying that right. Who else here? I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody. Oh, hi, Tammy Pie.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to say hello, everybody. It's quicker.
All right. So did you want to start off with introducing yourself, or do you want to just jump right into the icebreaker?
I don't really know what I would say if I introduce myself. I suppose, well...
Well, I mean, you did start your channel how many years ago? Around the time I did, right? So
yeah, I think, yeah. So it's about 3.5 years ago. So I started in August of 2018, and I think you were September of 2018. And I think yours was like, I saw your first video, or your second video was that we kind of connected, was really early on. And I do still have my channel. It is still up and you can still check it out. But it's just on a bit of a hiatus at the moment because I have other stuff going
on. That's how it's got to be, you know?
Yeah, but it's kind of, it is a tarot channel, but there's a lot of witchcraft stuff on there and spiritual stuff and that kind of stuff as well.
Awesome. Hi, B.
Hi, B.
Who else do we have? Hi, Gerald. Oh, hi, Avery.
Hey,
how are
Avery.
you? So glad to see everybody here. Sorry if we missed anybody. Okay. So let me see. Beth is here. Hi, Aspasia Rising. All right. So then how about we move on to the rapid fire icebreaker?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Awesome. So some of these you might remember from, the past casual convos you've seen, but we'll start with the firsts. So first deck you ever bought?
It was, I think it's by Jonathan D is who created it. It was like this purple, it came in a purple box, and it was a deck and like a hardback purple book, and it was horrible. It was really cheap. It was out of a shop called The Works, which is like a discount like book and stationery shop in the UK, which has been around forever. I must have been like 13 or 14. I had no idea what to do with it. I didn't like the artwork at all. I didn't like the cardstock or anything. I couldn't use it. It just intimidated the hell out of me. And yeah, I have no idea where it even is anymore. Okay. But it put me off for ages as well. So I didn't buy another tarot deck until I was like 18.
Okay, wait, can you repeat? When did you say you first bought that one?
When I was like 12 or 13.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, hi, Rumor. Sorry, I'm not getting distracted. Oh, hi, Sarah. Got quite a crowd, Heather.
Hello, everybody.
What's that?
Oh, hello, everybody.
Oh, hi, April. Okay, so first deck that you ever passed on?
The Cosmic Tarot, I think, was probably the first deck that I ever passed on that I gave to my friend. Okay. And now I want it back. I've decided. But
Yeah, that one seems to be popular. That's the one with like all this like the old timey movie stars
Yeah,
and
so like
others.
one of the cards is quite clearly Sean Connery, and
Mhm.
then you've got like Clark Gable, I think, is in there and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And I I really liked it, and my friend saw it and she really, really liked it. And I just have a habit of just going, oh well, just have it then with people. So
Okay.
I kind of did that. And I had other decks, so I was like, oh, take it, have it. And I'm not really using it anyway. And now I might buy it again.
Okay. We've all done it. We have all
Yeah.
done it. So, hi, Jen's Balanced Tarot. Good to see you. Good to see you back. Okay, first deck in your collection that was not RWS inspired, if any.
Well, I have the CBD Marseille tarot, but I don't know if that was the first one. So, because I bought that. Now, this is very similar to the answer that Sarah gave. I'm aware, but I bought that when Lisa was doing the Tarot on Earth study group,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted a pip deck to work with, so I bought
Mm-hmm.
that. But I also have the Fairy Tarot, which you had or
Yes,
used
I
to
did
have.
have at one point. Yes, that's a pippish.
Yeah, with the majors are very RWS, but then the minors
Yes,
aren't at all. They're
the
just a
minors are
picture of
just,
random illustrations.
yeah,
And I've had that deck for a really long time. So I
yeah,
think that was probably the first one.
yeah. So Sarah is saying, I think you need it back. I'm assuming, are you talking about the Cosmic Tarot, Sarah? I think you need it back because it makes a cameo appearance in Buffy. The Cosmic Tarot? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And a split second in season 6. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember that at all.
Okay, now I'm going to be on the lookout for that. I am
Yeah.
not at season 6 yet. I
I'm gonna
have
have to go
only just
back.
finished season 3. Huh?
I'm gonna have to go back and watch season
Yeah,
6
seriously.
again.
Okay.
How will I cope?
And a rumor is like Buffy is the only reason one needs. Okay. All right. I'm very bad at this, like, okay, banner thing. All right. First deck, or sorry, first thing you ever started collecting. Box, memorabilia, books, some kind of toy, or
I don't really remember. Well, I collected, I went through a stage where I collected Beanie Babies, but only
yeah.
because McDonald's Happy Meals were doing Beanie Babies. So I
Yes.
went through a stage when I collected them, but I don't know if I would really call that collecting. I
Okay.
used to collect when I was a teenager. This makes me
Mhm.
sound a little bit weird, so I appreciate that. But I used to collect a magazine series
Oh,
of
okay.
serial killers, like true crimes and serial killers and stuff. That was probably the first magazine series I collected. And I was only about, I don't even
Well,
know
alrighty
what.
then. Well, then, if I ever need some answers to serial killer trivia, I'll know who to turn to. Oh, oh, thank you, Beth. Thank you very much. Yes, it's a little big, but I do
Big
get it myself.
coffee cups are a must.
It depends for me. It
Mm.
depends. But yeah, it's a big one. But okay. So then, first pet.
I mean, I've always had pets. We've always had pets. My parents had pets before I was born. The first pet I remember, we had a dog and a cat, and the dog was called Petra.
Mm-hmm.
She was this big German Shepherd cross that was just like this mass of hair. She
Mm-hmm.
was beautiful, the most placid dog in the world. And we had a cat which we imaginatively named Puss. Which
That's
must
very
have been
inventive.
named
Very
by,
yes.
yeah, I think it must have been named by one of us because I'm one of 4. And Puss sounds like the kind of name a child would give a cat. So I think maybe that was we'll let our children name it. And then they never did that again.
Okay. First movie you saw in the theater.
Ooh. See, when I was young, I grew up on RAF bases, and they had theatres where you could drop your children off at the weekend so that you could go and do your shopping.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the theatre really young for like relatively young.
Uh-huh.
And I genuinely can't remember what the first film I would have seen in the cinema was, but the first film I remember seeing in the cinema
Yes.
was Labyrinth.
That's a good one.
But I didn't know what it was called. So I came home and I was telling my parents all about this great film that I'd seen called Sarah and the Goblins. And then I tried to get it from the video shop, and my mum couldn't find it because there is no such film.
Sarah and the Goblins. That's great. Oh my goodness. Hi La La Love Song. Tammy Pie's like Aristocrats, perhaps? I still think mine is, I'm pretty sure, Aladdin, because I was a late moviegoer. Yeah, and I have only just recently watched Labyrinth. Like, was it last year that I
Last year, I
last
think
year?
it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
for the very first
Because
time.
we made her. Because we made her.
Yes, yes. It was just like, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did. Okay.
I mean, yes. To be fair, is Beth right? Aspasia
Aspasia
right?
Rising. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think there was ever a time when people just dropped their kids off at a theatre outside of military bases, but on a military base, everybody knew everybody. So
Yeah.
you were dropping your kids off with people that you had in and out of your house all the time and stuff. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think my parents would have done it if it was just some random theatre.
Yeah.
You didn't know anyone.
Okay. First celebrity crush.
Two. I had two. So Johnny Depp and also Christian Slater, but very specifically Christian Slater as Jason Dean in the film Heathers.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, but he was an asshole in Heathers, right?
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a bad boy. At the time, I was like, yeah, he was a bad boy. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Now, as an adult, I watch that film and he's just a dick. But
Yeah,
at the
right,
time, I thought it was hot.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Tara student. Hello, Mixtress Ray.
Hello, everybody coming in.
Hello. Okay, a major move to another town, state, or country. So if you were military, you must have been moving around quite a bit.
Yeah, so I was born in Germany. And within the first year, which I obviously don't remember, we moved to Wales. And then the first move that I remembered, we went from Wales to Northern Ireland and lived just outside Belfast for a while. And then we moved to the UK, and then we've just to England, and we've just kind of moved around England for a bit. And then my dad came out.
Gotcha. First paycheck.
I had a paper round. Does that count?
That counts. I think that counts. Whatever you got paid for, you know.
Yeah, I had a paper round. But then I also
Oops. Oh my God.
I've had kind of like little jobs on and off since I had a paper round. I gave up the paper round to go and work on a Saturday in a cafe where my sister worked. Yeah, so I think maybe, I don't know if a paper round counts, but I definitely got given an envelope with money in it at the end of every week.
I think that counts. We're gonna count it.
Okay, let's count it.
So, okay, how about a first achievement that meant a lot to you?
Oh, I don't know. The first time I passed a grading in martial arts, I think.
Ooh, I didn't know you took martial arts.
I did, yeah. I did karate for like 3 years.
Oh, nice.
And I was between the ages of 15 and 18.
So you had to like break blocks and such?
No, I had to just do like floor patterns and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, cool.
And sparring, which I loved.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. All right. Okay, now on to favorites. You know, I call these rapid fire, but they're never rapid fire.
No, sorry, I talk too much.
Okay. A favorite food or snack?
Anything Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Anything Italian. Pizza, pasta, like tiramisu. Like, funnily enough, actually, I had for dinner before I came on, I had pasta with red pesto sauce, followed by a tiramisu. So,
that sounds so
yeah,
good right now.
anything Italian.
Sounds so good. Okay, favorite color?
I don't really have one, but if I had to pick, I would say purple or maybe pink. I do actually quite like pink as well.
I approve. I approve of both. So I agree, Avery. I agree.
I'm lovely.
Favorite book? A favorite book.
A favorite book. Well, I mean, the obvious answer for people who know me and if who've ever spent more than 5 seconds on my channel would be Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I was going to do something less obvious, I would probably pick It by Stephen King or Making History by Stephen Fry, which is an amazing book, if anybody hasn't read it, about these people who managed to stop Hitler being born and how it changes the whole world, and then they have to fix it. It's absolutely incredible.
I have not read that. How many pages is it? Is it over 300?
Yeah, I think it is over 300, but only just.
All right. I do. Yeah. Okay. I do lately have a bit of a page limit for my very spacey mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, when it starts to look thicker and thicker, although now since I've gotten the e-reader, the Kindle, maybe that'll be less of a, I mean, I won't be able to gauge so much, I suppose, in that way. But
no. But then the other side of the Kindle is that you can see your percentage, and if you've read for ages and you've only gone up from 5% to 7%, it's like,
yeah,
it's going to take me the rest of my life.
See, I'm gonna have to navigate that because I am the type of person who will look at that and I'll be,
yeah.
That's why I like print books. Honestly, well, there are many reasons I like print books, but I just, aside from the tactile, experience and the smell and everything, I like to see where I am just visually to completion. Anyway, a favorite movie or show?
Buffy the Vampire.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
A favorite animal? I know the answer to this one.
Fox. Oh, but just basically anything canine, like foxes, dogs, wolves, any kind of canine, really. But my favorite is foxes.
Mm-hmm. A favorite crystal?
Rose quartz.
Ooh, good one. A favorite curse word?
A favorite
curse word?
Oh, bollocks.
Mm.
I love the word bollocks. It makes me sound so English, though, doesn't it?
Though. It does. Not gonna lie. A favorite costume you've ever worn?
Oh, there's so many. I love getting dressed up for like parties and Halloween and stuff. Like, and I've done so many. I once went to a friend had a Rocky Horror themed fancy dress party, and I went as Magenta, and that was awesome. That was an awesome costume. Maybe that one.
A favorite piece of jewelry?
I don't really wear jewelry.
Okay, fair enough.
I have a key, so I wear a key, which is basically, it's because I follow the goddess Hecate. So that's why I wear that. But it's the only piece of jewelry other than my watch, which isn't really jewelry; it's an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the only jewelry that I wear.
Awesome. A favorite gift that you've received recently or in the last year?
Oh God, we've only just had Christmas. This should be really easy. I've got so many good gifts, though. I think.
Oh, awesome.
So 2 of my favorites were, one was from you and one was from another friend of mine. And I got Alice in Wonderland and Matilda for Christmas, but they're both in Korean. So those are probably my favorite gifts from last year, 2 of my favorite gifts.
And they look complex. And they're supposed to they're supposed to be like more, what, I guess, elementary-ish level.
Yeah.
But I looked at, she showed me a page and I'm like, nope. I wouldn't be able to. That's awesome. Okay. And then finally, bonus surprise question. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Of these 3 decks,
Uh-huh.
which one would you kiss, marry, and kill?
Okay.
Anna K Tarot, Raven's Prophecy Tarot, and Everyday Witch.
Oh, I don't want to kill any of them.
Hmm.
I would marry the Everyday Witch.
Okay. Be careful, Heather. You're going to get more villagers with pitchforks coming after you.
You know, there's no way to win this. I would, okay, I'm just going to say it really fast. I would marry the Everyday Witch, kiss the Raven's Prophecy, and kill the Anna K.
Nailed it. That would have been my answer.
Really?
Well, it's very tight between the Raven's Prophecy and the Everyday Witch.
Yeah.
I really go back and forth. I love them so much. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to kill any of them, but if I
Yes,
was
exactly.
and
No.
I had to pick,
Yes, exactly. That's
that would
the
be
nature of the game. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So now on to actual questions. So you said you bought your first tarot deck around like 12. Is that when that interest started for you, or just in general kind of like witchcrafty type of curiosity?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been interested in like that kind of like divination and that kind of thing. I think I didn't really get interested in, well, yeah, in spellcraft, the idea, like what kid doesn't love the idea that you can cast spells and make things happen?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with the Worst Witch when I was a kid and that kind of stuff. So I've always been interested in that kind of stuff. And then I really got interested when the craft came out, which I think maybe I was like 14, 15, maybe 14.
I don't know. That was a recent viewing for me as well. I
Yeah,
missed
fair
that
enough.
memo. So
Yeah, I think maybe I was 14 or 15. And
okay.
even then I was like, I was more into the idea of witchcraft
Mhm.
as like a craft involving spell work than actual paganism or any kind of religion. I think, but I've always been interested in religion. So I've never been a Christian, but I was very interested and read a lot about Christianity when I was
Mhm.
younger. I read a lot about Buddhism when I was younger. And, you know, I was very interested in all religions, but nothing ever really seemed to fit.
Mhm.
And then when I was around 17, a friend of mine introduced me to Wicca, which was the thing that everybody knew then. And I bought my first book, which was Wicca by Scott Cunningham, and kind of never really looked back from there.
Okay. Very cool. So Beth is yelling at you right now.
Yes, sorry. I tried to get it out, but anybody could hear it.
So then, with Wicca, did you, was it about like finding a coven? I mean, I'm not really, of course, as immersed or familiar with the whole process, but I know that, you can choose to be in a coven, right? With
You
paganism,
can.
is that something that? Mhm.
I didn't, but
No, okay.
mainly because like finding a coven is like finding a needle, a specific needle in a
Mm,
big pile of needles. It's like it's impossible. But it's obviously not impossible, but it was at the time. We didn't, we're talking about the late 90s. We didn't have access to the type of internet stuff that we have nowadays. It wasn't as easy as joining Facebook groups and that kind of
right,
stuff.
right.
And the book, the Scott Cunningham book, is actually, its full title is Wicca for the Solitary Practitioner, and it's
Okay.
very much written around building your own path and practice and being on your own. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of where I went. I have been in a coven.
Okay, so I was going to ask
Well,
later on. Yeah, okay. So then that idea did interest you when it became more accessible, that you did
yeah,
want to try. And so then the friend who introduced you to Wicca, she was also not in a coven. She was
no,
solitary. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Um, so in terms of tarot, when did you feel like you were integrating that more frequently into your practice?
Oh wow. I say I had tarot decks. I started to buy tarot decks again because um I'm pretty sure it's Silver Ravenwolf is talks about in her book about how a witch practices divination. And so I looked at divination and all the different things, and the one that I liked the most, like purely aesthetically,
Mhm,
was tarot because it gave me
mhm.
something to look at. But I didn't really know what I was doing with it, and it was one of those things I kind of dabbled in and then came out of and then dabbled with, and I didn't really get serious about it until late 2017, early 2018. So when I started my channel, I was only just starting to really integrate tarot into my life as a
Okay.
thing that I did consistently rather than something I just dabbled about in for a
Got
laugh on a Sunday afternoon when I was bored.
Okay. So then would you say you're predominantly an RWS reader? Like that's the one that ha-
Yeah,
has
definitely.
most, and like, are you interested in, because you said that you had the Marseille and, um, is it that Marseille you've just decided, or maybe just pip decks in general are not for you? Or maybe even the Thoth, have you thought about, were
I
you
mean,
ever close to that?
the Thoth is another one that's on and off my wish list, but
Yeah.
I've never actually, I've seen other people read with it. I've never had a copy. I've never tried to read with it.
Hmm.
And I don't really use I've got one Marseille deck and I don't
Hmm.
really use it.
Yeah.
I mean, never say never, but I, I think that I need the visual. I need an actual visual to work from because
Okay.
I tried runes as well, and I had that same kind of issue that I have with pip decks is that
Yeah.
I've got nothing to pull from,
Yeah.
and I'm like you can learn the number associations and stuff, but I've got nothing to anchor them into.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
No, absolutely.
like four cups is just four cups. I can't anchor the number four into anything when I'm looking at so I don't retain that information as well.
Mhm. Gotcha. So then when you, because I remember there was a time that you came back to working with that pip deck, the fairy tarot, right? It's the fairy tarot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So how did then that work for you? Was it because that was more like pips with a little more going on, but those pips didn't even seem to, the pictures did not necessarily correlate with the
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
meaning.
I mean, I liked working. I haven't
Yeah.
used that deck
Right.
for a while, but when I used it for like a month,
Hmm.
uh, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Yeah.
working with it, and I think it was just because I didn't think about it so much. I just,
Awesome.
but sometimes I am a typical air sign in that I get really stuck in my own head, and
Hmm.
I can be really cerebral, and
Hmm.
if I think about it too much, then I start to second guess myself, and then it all goes to shit. And that's where I
Okay.
have problems with pip decks.
Gotcha, gotcha, okay. So Strength versus saying, "I still have all of Silver Ravenwolf's books that I bought." Wow, in high school
Me
and
too.
college.
Yeah, me too.
Ah, okay, and let me see what else. So then what do you feel is the deck that really made tarot click for you? You're just like, "Okay, this, I'm really getting it."
The Everyday Witch,
Everyday Witch.
definitely. Yeah, so I had the Robin Wood, and I worked with it for ages, and
Mhm.
I loved it. But the Everyday Witch was the first time I felt like, holy shit, I could actually do this. I could actually stop reading the books. I could stop relying on other people's interpretations, and I could do this for myself.
Mhm. And did you also, when you mentioned books, were there particular ones that you felt were extremely helpful when you were learning the tarot?
I have one, Tarot Plain and Simple, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I
I've
can't
heard of that
remember the
one.
author off the top of my head, and I can't
Yeah.
see it from here because it's dark. But And I have had that book for so long. Like I have to stop saying like. I've just noticed I'm saying it too much. So now I'm a bit self-conscious about it. I've had it for such a long time that the pages have fallen out. The like plastic covering on it is peeling away, and it's yellowing and stuff. And it's
Aww.
a great book. Anthony Lewis. That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
It's a
Very
great book,
cool.
and I still use it now.
Awesome. A well-loved book. Okay. And do you work with Oracle a lot? Like when did you first become aware of like Oracle decks as something different than tarot, and what has your experience with Oracle decks been?
I don't actually know when I first became aware of Oracle as something separate. It's not a moment in time that I can remember. I don't remember ever not knowing that, but I
Oh, okay.
didn't always know that, but it's not something that's stuck in my memory as significant. I have a lot of Oracle decks, a lot more than I should have, bearing in mind I haven't touched an Oracle deck in about 18 months. But I very rarely use Oracle by itself. I've got one here actually. I tend to use it in conjunction with tarot, and mainly I like to use it. So I'll pull a card for the day. I think a lot of us do that. We pull a tarot card for the day, and I quite often like to pull an Oracle card as well to complement the tarot card. So that's mostly how I use it.
Okay, gotcha. Are there any particular favorites in terms of Oracle?
Yeah, loads. I like Foxfire. Is it Foxfire? Is that what it's called? I love that one. I mean, foxes, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Anything by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I love this one. This is the one I have out at the moment. I'm not a huge fan in general of Colette Baron Reid.
Oh, right, Colette Baron Reid, yes.
This Wisdom of the Oracle deck.
Okay.
And there's another one, and I can't remember what it's called. I can't see it because I've got books in the way. And it's such a simple deck. The pictures are really simple, and it's just got one word, and it's completely escaped me. Hang on. Might be able to find it. I can't remember, and I love it. I absolutely love it. When I got it, I think somebody bought it for me, and I thought, I'm never going to be able to use this. It's got nothing on it. And it actually ended up being one of my favorites.
And it's really simple, you said.
Yeah.
Is it really popular?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's a blue box with is it got like a moon on the front or something? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I'm really sorry. That was
it's okay. No
really
problem.
Rubbish. That went nowhere.
You'll probably remember it later on. Okay. And then would you say your reading style with tarot has changed over the years or not? Or do you feel like you found pretty quickly what worked for you and you've stuck with that?
Only in so much that I have got a lot more relaxed about how I read the tarot. So I went through a stage where, again, air sign, where it was very like Sacred Destiny. That is it. Yes, thank you, Sarah. That is the deck that I was trying to think of. Thank you.
Wow. Nice. Just based on
the
blue,
he knows my brain.
based on the cover. Oh my gosh. And then just nothing, the universe has your back. Yep.
I do like that one as well. What was I saying? Oh yeah, only in so much as before I was very like, this is the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords always means this, even if that doesn't necessarily make sense for the particular picture on this card. Whereas now I'm a lot more free about allowing myself to go with whatever the picture is telling me, regardless of what the more traditional meaning of the card. Because they are traditional. It's not not an air quote moment, but
yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way, and I think it's harder. Well, again, you and I are both air signs, so that was kind of a difficult thing for me too, to just kind of relax and be a little more flexible and malleable to whatever downloads I received and not keep second guessing them. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that doesn't go back to the traditional meaning. Well,
Yeah.
you have
And
to.
isn't that funny? Because you're like me in that I don't read for anyone else. I
Yeah.
only read for myself. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter if my readings are wrong, like for want of a better word, or not, because it's not, nobody's giving me money for them.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm pretending to be something I'm not. I'm just,
Yeah.
I only do it for myself. So,
Yeah.
but it took me a long time to just relax into it and trust that I know myself better than the book written by somebody who has their own interpretation of the
Right.
text.
Absolutely. Do you, as of this point, have a daily routine with tarot, or are you just kind of using it when you're called to use it?
I do draw a card every day,
Okay.
and I always have done. I don't always remember to do anything with them.
Mhm.
So sometimes I just draw a card and I'm like, that's my card for the day. And then I forget
Yeah.
all about it,
Yep.
which is really helpful. But I do like, Avery will appreciate this. I do like numbers and spreadsheets and that kind of stuff. So I do like to track all of that. And at the end of the year, I like to do like percentage of pentacles that I drew in the year and the percentage of swords that I drew in the year and all that kind of stuff. So I do that every single day. I draw them every day. And I do read at the new moon and the full moon. I went through a stage where I was always using the same spread. So I had a new moon spread and a full moon spread.
Yeah.
But now I tend to find different readings, particularly spreads around like the new moon I think we just had was in Pisces. Was it in Pisces?
You are asking the wrong person, Heather.
But anyway,
I want to say
I have an app on my phone that tells me. I
that,
don't have
that
to remember.
sounds right, but I could be just bullshitting you. But that sounds right.
But that's what I tend to do. I tend to do a
Okay.
reading based on what the moon is in.
Yeah.
And then I have spreads that I like for the different, the 8 festivals that I follow and I tend to read for.
Okay.
And I do a spread on my birthday every year. So I have things that I like to do consistently, and then the rest of the time it's just if I feel like it, I'll get them out and throw some cards down and see what happens.
Gotcha. Bye, Mixter Sray. Heather, I am finding so much of myself in your answers. Thanks for coming. Okay. Let's see. The Pisceans in the chat all show up. Very true. Very true. All right. And have you had phases of, like, I don't know, tarot, witchcraft ennui, where you felt like you've been in a slump with your practice or in a slump with tarot? And if so, how did you navigate that and come out of that?
Yeah. I think tarot less so, because tarot is still quite new for me. So I mean, I go through stages where I want to read more and when I want to read less, but I think that's just life. But witchcraft, definitely. And I've been involved in witchcraft, paganism, that kind of thing for over 20 years. And I don't think it's possible to have something in your life for that long and not go through stages where it doesn't feel good or it doesn't feel fizzy anymore, or, that where you have it takes a massive back. What's the word I'm looking for?
Seat.
Yeah. Wow. Back seat in your life. But and I'm kind of going through that now because I've got so many other things going on.
Yeah.
That I haven't really had time for witchcraft, and particularly it hasn't really been a big factor for me for the last few months. But I don't really do anything anymore. When I was younger and it was, the first time I was experiencing that, I would try and find ways to fix it and, well, I need to do this and I need to do that. But I think I've learned over time that I'll find my way back to it when I'm ready. And if I'm not being called to it right now, it's because now is just not the time for me to be doing that thing.
Right.
I
Very
don't
true.
need to force it or worry about it.
Right. That's
And
great.
it naturally finds its way back, I think.
Yeah. Awesome. That's very good advice. Okay. So, do you consider yourself a tarot collector? Dirty
Well,
word, collector.
I know, right? I feel like if I say yes, I'm admitting to some dirty secret. Yes, if I ignore the fact that there are people on YouTube with like thousands of decks. So in my offline life, I most of my friends are people that I've met through pagan circles and stuff. So they all have tarot decks and things as well.
Mhm.
And within those group of people, my collection, they think my collection is very large.
Mhm.
I have less than 50 tarot decks, only just, but I have less than 50 tarot decks.
Yeah.
And so when I'm with those people, I'm like,
Right.
yes, I'm definitely a collector because I have a collection of decks. But then I talk to people on YouTube,
Yeah.
on YouTube, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, technically it's like it's a small group. It's not really a collection. I mean, when you think people have got 200, 300, 400 decks.
Right.
So that was a really complicated answer to what should have been a really easy question.
No, but I mean, I can totally relate to that because I feel like I'm in the same situation where it's like, not that I don't have any pagan friends outside, but I do know, or rather my friends know that I do tarot. And so, if they were to know, I don't think they've ever asked, but if they were
Mm.
to know how many, they would think that that's a high number, whereas opposed to in our little community, in our little village, it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like it's that big compared to other people, which is, yeah, so it's very subjective. And
Yeah, and I don't think I mean that's a good point, Avery. A small collection is still a collection. If you
yeah.
have more than one deck, you could argue that that's still a collection, right? I suppose. Um, but do you know what? It's something I never really think about. If
Mhm.
I'm completely honest, it's something I never really think about.
Yeah.
I just, if I like a deck and I want to own it, I buy it if it's within my means to do so.
Right.
And if I'm not interested, I don't. And I
Yeah.
never really think about whether or not I'm I'm a collector or not.
I agree. I don't think I didn't give it much thought until it started coming up in
Yeah.
conversations in tarot sphere. And that's when it's like, oh, okay, collecting, dirty. No, I'm just kidding. But it definitely, it just kind of took over. And I was like, oh, that got me to thinking about it more. And
But
certainly there is, for me, there is a number. I would say there's a quantity. I mean, not an exact number, but there is, when I kind of eyeball my collection, there is, a range that I'm comfortable having versus not, because I am one to purge a lot and curate,
Mhm.
and cull. That's just my nature with really a lot of things. So tarot is
I
not.
think if I have that number, I
What's that?
haven't reached it yet because
Okay, yeah,
I don't know what that number is. So I'm
right.
assuming that's because I haven't reached it yet. But I'm
Mhm.
just looking at the bookcase that I have in my living room, which is where I keep my decks. And I think my number is however many will fit on that shelf before I run out of room, if
Yeah,
I'm completely honest.
that's hilarious because that was my kind of yardstick as well. When I had this like bookshelf, and I'm like, well, that top tier, that's going to be, if the decks can fit on there, then that's fine. Once that space is taken up, no more decks, Julie. Well, that was a complete fail. That did not work out very
Yeah.
well at all. So, let's see. Sarah Waterchild Tarot says, interesting. I think of being a collector or not as whether one has them to use them or has them to document tarot styles or something like that. Yeah, that is one interpretation I've heard too. And I would say, sorry, I have a bug. Yeah, that is one that I'm familiar with as well. And that's, I guess by that, then I would say I'm not a collector if we're going by that definition, because most of the time I buy mine because I want to use it. It's usually I
Yeah.
do want to use it. I
Yeah,
rarely
I
get
mean,
that thinking I'm just have it to have it. But I certainly, and I do have decks that I have but don't use, whether because there might be some sentimental value attached to it. But I do understand that definition. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've never bought a deck because no, that's not where I wanted to go with that sentence. I've never bought a deck knowing that I wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
Every deck that I
Exactly.
bought is because I intended to use it.
Yeah.
Like you, I mean, the one deck that off the top of my head that springs to mind that I have that I don't use but will never part with is the Alice Tarot by Baba Studio.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Yeah.
all kinds of reasons wrapped up in that. But when I bought it with the intention of using it.
Right.
And it just so happens that it's not one I'm drawn to use all that much or
Mm-hmm.
ever,
Yeah.
but I'll never pass it on. But if you're talking about a collector as somebody who buys things, and that's in my head, that's how I think of collectors. So I think of
Okay.
people who collect like I have a friend who collects Star Wars memorabilia,
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars toys, and everything he owns is still in the box that it came
Right.
in.
Right.
You know, the boxes are never opened and none of
Right.
it is
Right.
ever touched. And to me,
Yeah.
that's the difference between somebody buying stuff,
That's
buying
true.
toys, play with them, and collecting them.
That's
I
true.
kind of see tarot in the same way,
Yeah. Then,
but I
yeah.
don't necessarily think the two things are mutually exclusive
Yeah.
either.
That's
So
true. That's true. I mean, I feel like, especially in the context of this tarot sphere, we're using it very kind of flexibly, loosely.
yeah.
So yeah, totally. Um, let's see what else. Would you say that you have a soul deck, and do you prescribe to that term?
No and no.
Okay.
I purely because I approach tarot in the same way that I approach anything that I'm interested in. So if you ask me today, what is out of your entire tarot collection, what is your number one favorite deck? I will probably give you an answer. I mean, it will be hard for me, but I'll be able to give you an answer. But if you ask me tomorrow,
right,
I might have a completely different answer. And I'm the same about that with everything, about movies and books and music. And to me, tarot fits into all of that.
mm-hmm.
And I this is a very complicated conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that human beings, every single one of us, is complicated and messy and multifaceted. And the idea that there's one deck that speaks to your soul makes it sound like your soul is this one defined thing at the core of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't prescribe to that. I think that, we're messy and we're complicated, and who we are at our core changes depending on our mood and our circumstances and how we feel at a given moment in time. So all of my decks are soul decks because all of them speak to the person that I am at the moment that I choose to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel about it, personally.
Excellent. All right. Any decks that you are currently using that you wanted to talk about, or that you're in love with, that you want to share?
In love with no, but
okay. No, not really in love with, but this is the one I'm using right now.
Well, and it's new and I like it a lot. So I did just get the Smoke, Ash and Embers deck. Mine did come out this week, and
everyone's been
sharing.
very excited.
I can't do this. It's too complicated, but I'll try and share it. But it's fucking gorgeous, right? It's absolutely gorgeous. The art style, this guy's art style is incredible. It's it's just so cute, but it's so deep, and the cardstock is amazing. Although I can't hold it.
Oops. Oh,
hello.
No. Oh, oops. Oh, I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry, people.
No. kicked me off and everything. I'm like, Julie, if you've got problems with this deck, you only have to say so.
Got it. All
So
right.
yeah, so I still, I mean, it's nighttime where I am, so the
Yeah.
lighting is rubbish.
Oh, good.
It's dark.
It's such a pretty deck.
It is lovely. It's so nice, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really
Okay.
enjoying working with it. So this is the deck that, and I go. So I tend to, like, I also do this with films, but I tend to have a deck that I love, and then I work with it, and I also do this with music, and I work with it and work with it and work with it, and then
you're over it.
I'm
Yeah.
so over it,
Yeah.
and it goes away, and I don't touch it again for months.
Yeah.
And so this is the only deck I'm working with right now,
Okay.
and I will do that. I will work with it and work with it and work with it, and that might be for 2 weeks. It might be for 12 weeks. And then my brain will go, I never want to see that deck again as long as
I've been there. I've totally
and I'll put it away and I'll play with something else for months, or I'll get something new in just in time. I do that with everything. I do it with music. I play music that I love until I hate it. That's just how I work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the deck that I'm working with at the moment.
Gorgeous.
And it is really lovely.
Yeah. Sarah says, I love that reply to the soul deck question, Heather.
No,
I agree. Let's see, what else do we have here? Just make sure I'm not missing anything. Again, anybody with any questions for Heather, you can put them in all caps, and hopefully I won't miss anything. But I think we're caught up.
Can you take me off big now?
Oh, okay, my bad.
All I can see is myself. It's really off-putting.
I hear you. No, I understand. Okay, so that's the one that you're currently working with now. And are there any others that are on the way that you're anticipating?
Yes, I have the, what is it called? The Southeast Asia one. What is that called?
Yeah, Seems Tarot, the Southeast Asian Myths and Stories Tarot.
Yeah. So that one I have on the way. And the Literary Tarot.
Oh, yes.
I also backed last year. So that would come this year too, I think.
Okay. So yeah, I received the notification that the Seams they've started shipping them. So who knows when. But
because they're coming, I think, if outside of Singapore, they're coming directly from the
actual printer.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to both of those decks, and that's it, really. I don't think I have anything else.
So then, Sarah's asking, what music have you been obsessed with lately? And Lala is asking, favorite band / album.
Oh, okay. I'll answer them in the order that you asked because they're easier in that order. So so I'm learning Korean at the moment, and part of that is input, part is like immersion and wanting to hear the sound as much as possible. So I have a playlist on Spotify of just a whole load of Korean songs that I really like and I really love. There's like 6 hours worth of music on there.
Wow.
And that tends to be what I'm listening to the most at the moment. Favorite band's album, again, changes depending on when you ask me and my mood. But some of my favorite bands I'm very into rock and metal, particularly with female lead singers. So Hailstorm is one of my favorite bands of all time. Evanescence. I love Amy Lee's voice. I could listen to her sing anything. Green Day's Dookie album is the first album I bought myself on CD as a teenager, and I still love it. I still love Green Day. I've seen them live. They're amazing. Yeah, I could go on. I could go on and on and on and on about bands, but I won't.
Yeah. Awesome. So Hyun is a fan of Hailstorm. Okay. And what are some decks on your wish list? Do you have any? Maybe you don't.
I don't really have any at the moment. I don't think. Nothing springs to mind.
Okay.
I have decks on my wish list, but nothing that I'm like, they're decks that I put on my Amazon wish list. So they're all mass market decks because I kind of like them, and at some point I might want to own them, but I'm not really that bothered. Oh, that the ghost one by
Lisa Hunt.
no, the French woman who did
Oh, the Boo Tarot. The Boo
yeah,
Tarot. Yes, that one's
yeah,
cute.
that one I really like.
Hi,
I do
Avery. Yeah, no, that one's very cute. But didn't you say she's the one that did the Tarot Reynard, right?
yeah, yeah.
And you said that the cardstock was a little bit tough. I wonder if she's going to use the same cardstock because
Yeah, I mean the cardstock is lovely. It's difficult for me because I have terrible arthritis, so my fingers
yeah,
hurt all the time, and my wrists and my hands are very like they're just not good. So I
yeah,
find it difficult because it's thick. You
gotcha.
would find it difficult because you have teeny tiny hands.
Yes, yes.
But it's
Okay.
lovely cardstock. It's just very
It
difficult
is. It's
to
so
shuffle.
and the majors are going to be holographic. Like the ghosts in the majors are like they sparkle and they're holographic. Oh, so
I mean,
cute.
it's cute enough that I will probably buy it anyway, regardless of the cardstock. It's cute and creepy. Two things I
Yes,
adore.
exactly. Okay. That, oh my gosh, I don't know. I can't even begin. I mean, I I've been listening, of course, a lot of BTS. I know that sounds so like old people. Um, gosh, oh my goodness. I mean, I like I like a lot of like pop. So like Taylor Swift, I like, but
Me too.
then I also like, Depeche Mode and I some of the kind of older bands that I don't know that the youngins are as necessarily familiar with. Like I remember Dookie. Dookie was one of like my favorite albums of theirs, just in general.
Yeah.
Um, I was a huge Tori Amos fan at one point. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so those are only some that I can think of, but yeah, my iPod is just a weird mishmash of, like Jay-Z, I love Tim and Jay-Z and B. It's just kind of all over the place. So,
I'm the same though. I will listen to and I like something from probably every genre going. Like there are
yeah.
some country bands that I really love. I uh, have been listening to drum and bass over the last week, some drum and bass
Mm,
stuff, and
okay.
some dance music, pop music, metal. Metal and rock is where my heart is probably, and
Mhm.
that's my favorite type of music, and new metal and that kind of stuff. But I will listen to absolutely anything, and my
Mhm.
if you looked at my music, you would think that it was the music list of like four different people.
No, I'm kind of the same way. Yes. Yes. Tori and Depeche Mode. I know. I know. Yay. Awesome. And then Joe is also a metal fan. Very cool. Um, Tammy Pie says Dwight Yoakam. Wow, I haven't heard his name in a while. Yes, same. Same, Sarah. I think I stopped after the Choir Girl Hotel, or maybe even the album after that one. So, but
I don't actually know who Tori Amos is.
oh,
Just saying.
yeah,
And
she's
I don't know if it's because I'm so young compared to
yeah.
everybody else, or if it's just because I'm British. I don't really know.
Yeah, so she is an American singer. I have heard her compared to Kate Bush, although I'm not sure if that's like I don't listen to Kate Bush, so I don't know if that's
Okay.
accurate or not, but I have heard that kind of comparison between the two. Um, People are aghast right now.
I know. I know. I know. And I thought maybe I should just keep that one to myself,
You
but
you know,
it
you
was
might
like
you might know her songs without knowing that it's her. And
probably.
she has done, um, yeah, she still makes music. She still makes music. But I honestly just haven't been keeping track of her at all and what she's been up to. So, yeah. Okay. let's see. I think I am. She's, oh, whoops. She's the one between Kate Bush and Alanis. Oh, Alanis Morissette was another one that I just, loved
I
her.
like Alanis Morissette. I'm not so keen on Kate Bush.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
not.
Kate Bush's music, and if a song came on, I would know it was her, but it's
Uh-huh.
not something that I would necessarily choose to listen to.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Are there any decks that you are like in your collection right now that you're currently trying to connect with that you can't, you haven't been able to, or ones in the past that you've connected with, and you just for some reason you just couldn't, you weren't able to, and even though you really, really wanted to, and held on to it for maybe longer than you necessarily would have otherwise.
In my collection now, probably not. I did have, so I bought Tower of the Hidden Realms
Mm-hmm.
quite early on, and there were all kinds of like emotional reasons why I bought that deck. And I really, really, really wanted it to work, and it just didn't. It just didn't work for me at all. And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely held onto that deck much longer than I would have done
Right.
otherwise. But no, I think everything I have in my deck collection right now,
You're pretty happy with.
I'm pretty happy with. Yeah.
All right. Rachel asks, if you could go away anywhere in the world, where would you love to go to and why?
Well, I'd like to go to South Korea, partly to practice speaking to actual Koreans. I'm not ready for that yet, but at some point in my life, that is a goal. Um,
Awesome.
I went to New Orleans about 10 years ago
I
for
would
Mardi
love
Gras
to go
with
there.
my sister,
Yeah.
and it was the most amazing 2 weeks of my life.
I
And
want to go there so badly. I want to go there so badly.
yeah,
Maybe this
I'd
year.
actually quite like to go back, and when it's not Mardi Gras, because when you go for Mardi Gras, you obviously get caught up in the whole Mardi Gras stuff.
Yeah.
And there were so many other things that we would have done had we
Mhm.
got any other time. So I would love to go back to New Orleans when it's not Mardi Gras and do the things that we didn't get to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Um,
definitely don't think I want to go around Mardi Gras time.
it was amazing. I would highly recommend everybody does it at least once. It was a
Oh,
great experience.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I don't know.
really
It seems
enjoyed
very
it.
chaotic, but
Yeah, it
maybe.
was. Otherwise, I'm not the world's biggest traveler. I like being at home, so
Mhm.
so
Oh, good.
I don't really have any huge desires to travel all that much.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Oh, hi, She Walks in Beauty. I think it's Lise. Nice to see you here. Um, okay, question for Heather. You seem really good at boundaries. Any advice on staying centered and boundaried for folks who struggle to recover from people pleasing and not leave the internet entirely?
Wow, that's a big question.
No pressure.
It's interesting because I don't think that I would never have described myself as someone who's really good at boundaries. So I don't know if I have any advice, purely because I think that I'm just a naturally private person, and I just know where my line is. I know what I'm willing to share, and I know what I'm not, and I know what's available for public consumption and what isn't.
Mhm.
And a lot of that, I suppose my advice would be is to get really, really comfortable with who you are and what your values are.
Mhm.
Because if you know what your values are, you will, and you really know them, you will know when something doesn't feel good to you.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much easier to comfortably say no to people, or to comfortably put that line in place, because not doing that won't feel good,
Right.
I guess.
That's excellent.
I don't even know if that was good
I
advice.
approve. I
But
approve. Okay. And Yes, understandable. I mean, I don't like the act of traveling. I would love to visit so many places if we could do it kind of like teleportation style, Star Trek, you could beam me down somewhere, then cool, but like having to be on a plane or, just these long car trips and that's just never, that kind of wears me down. It kind of
I
deflates my
love
energy ball.
traveling, bizarrely. Although I say I don't really feel like traveling, I actually like the act of traveling. So
Really? Okay.
yeah, and I don't drive, so I wonder if that has something to do with it, because I'm never the person that is in charge of
Oh,
getting us from one destination to another, because I can't
gotcha.
drive.
Uh-huh.
So I'm always a passenger. I'm either a passenger on a bus or a train or in the car, and I like that, but I think because it's just a great time to just be. You can't do
Mm,
anything else, can you? When you're stuck
that's
on a
true.
train or you're stuck on a plane, you can't do anything else but
Yeah.
exist in that moment. And I really like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about it that way. Hmm. So Avery says, that's the thing you're so good at, that I struggle to differentiate public from private. I think that's a common thing to
Yeah,
struggle with. I think
yeah,
all of us
it
to
is.
some degree. Yeah.
And I think like all you can really do anytime you are going to share a piece of information about yourself is genuinely ask yourself that question. Is this a piece of information that I want potentially? I mean, TarotTube is a really small world. So when we're talking about TarotTube, it's not as big as when you're talking about other places
Yeah.
on the internet. But still, once something's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. So you just have to ask yourself that question. Is this a piece of information that I want out in the world for anybody to have access to, regardless of whether that's somebody I know and trust or
Yeah.
not?
Exactly.
And there are a lot of things that I will not share with people I don't know, because it's just not, it's
It's none of anyone's business.
none of anyone's business, right?
And it
I
doesn't
won't
mean you're being
share them.
inauthentic.
Yes. And I won't share them with people. There are people I work with who I won't share this information with. So if
Yeah.
I'm not willing to share that kind of information with people that I work with and I see every day, why in the world would I put it out on the internet for everybody else to
Yeah.
see?
No, it's so
And
true.
that's kind of all you can do, is ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
How comfortable am I knowing that this information can be accessed by anybody in the world?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And I think, in the day and age, and I've said this before, in the day and age of social media, there's this expectation or this entitlement that people have, that they expect you to share anything and everything. And no, that is false. And that doesn't mean that you're not being authentic and giving a real face to, what you put out there. I mean, uh, people are so multi-layered. So just because what you show is, I don't know, curated, it's you have put deliberation into it, and thought into it, and boundaries. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're being fake, or that you're being dishonest or insincere or hiding something or inauthentic, which is another dirty word apparently in our.
Mm.
So I totally agree with that. I completely agree.
And even if I mean, the only thing I would say differently to that is, yes, I am hiding some stuff, and it's
Well,
stuff I'm deliberately choosing to hide from you,
yeah.
because I don't think that it's your business. You don't need to know everything about me.
Well,
Why do people on the internet
mhm.
need to know every single aspect of your life? They don't.
Exactly. And I actually think that I see, I wouldn't even describe that as hiding. It's not
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know
I
what I
see
mean?
what
The
you mean.
connotation of that suggests something sneaky or conniving, and it's nothing like that. You're just
No.
choosing not to share because, once again, it's nobody's effing business. So
And it also, there are moments where I will share more, and there are moments that I will share less.
mhm,
And I think it's true for everybody. Just because you decide in this moment in time to share more of yourself doesn't mean you have to do that tomorrow.
exactly.
You can choose at any moment in time how much of yourself you're willing to give to other
Right.
people. You don't
Right.
owe anybody any
And
part of you.
exactly. Exactly. 100%, 100,000%. Okay. So with these last few questions, what advice do you have for anyone who's just started learning tarot or witchcraft?
Don't listen to other people, because there is always going to be somebody, there's always going to be somebody who says that your way is wrong, or
Mhm.
that if you're not doing it this way, then you don't know what you're doing, or you whatever. There's always going to be people who make themselves feel better by making you feel like shit, and who make themselves feel better by telling other people what they're doing wrong all the time. And there is no wrong way. There is no wrong way to read tarot. There is no wrong way to practice witchcraft. There's just your way.
Mhm.
So if it's working for you, it's working for you, and it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it. So just don't listen to other people. That would be my advice.
Okay. Do you think there's something to be said for having a foundation? You know, that there are good, maybe like witchcraft resources that people should ground themselves in, or tarot resources that people should ground themselves in? Or do you feel like it's just kind of, yeah, it's up to the person to
Personally,
yeah.
yes. So for me personally, I have found that having those foundations is important. It's
Yeah.
important. It was important for me to learn, for example, the more traditional meanings of tarot
Mhm.
before I allowed myself the freedom to experiment outside of that. And I do think that you can go from one extreme to the other. So you can get carried away and go, well, I'm going to do things exactly the way I want, and I'm genuinely not going to listen to anybody ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just assume that everybody else is talking rubbish. But a lot of the time when people do the same thing, if lots of people are doing the same thing, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I would
Very
say
good point.
before you don't necessarily need to do that thing or include that thing, but before you decide that thing is not for you, personally, I would recommend actually trying it to make sure it genuinely isn't for you.
That's great advice. Very good advice. Okay, and I think that is it. So hopefully I have answered everyone's questions. If I have missed anything, please let me know. Please um, place the question in caps, but I think we are good. Gerald says, I agree. It's your path. Own it. If someone tells me not to read a book, that's the first one I'll read. You little rebel. You troublemaker, Gerald. So, okay. All right. Well, anything else you want to add before we close this out?
No,
Okay.
that was fun. Sorry if I waffled.
No, not at all. I think you
I
did
do that.
great. You did great. And it was so fun having you on.
No,
So thank you so much to Heather, and thank you all in the live for being here. Sorry if I missed anyone, but I really appreciate you all being here. And once again, if anyone is interested in coming on and having a chat, you don't have to be a tarot tuber. You could just be a tarot villager. It's completely fine. You don't need to have anything to promote. You just want to talk. We'd love to get to know you better. So just, yeah, drop me a DM on IG, or my email is in the YouTube about section. So thanks once again. And until the next time, be well, much love, and take care. Bye.
bye.